So as we know, the upcoming president-elect has said that they plan to dismantle um, the federal education system. Um, what that doesn't mean is that he's shutting down schools. What it does mean is he's sending power um, for the schools back to the states. It might mean he's sending most of the funding back to the states, like our schools not going to get federal funding. If in fact he is going to honor his decision to give $1,000 per child back to homeschoolers and I think private school parents, is that the money that the federal government had been sending to schools? Are schools going to suffer in their facilities? Are schools going to suffer in teacher wages? Are schools going to suffer in administration? Like, I think schools are going to be at least tight on money. Also, schools are going to become very uneven again. If you live in a poorer community, your school's going to suck. It's kind of that way now. If you live in a richer community, your school's going to be amazing. Because, come on, parents in wealthier communities are going to get in there, do that PTA, get that fundraising done, get those extras for those kids. And parents who don't have the means, or both parents have to work with a single parent working, they're not going to get a lot. And so decisions are going to be made. I know this. I've watched this. I've been in homeschooling for 20 years. Decisions are going to be made. Parents are going to get frustrated 6 months to a year in. And decisions are going to be made to go ahead and homeschool. I've made several videos, I think, on my Cheese Press channel and maybe here as well. And I'll link them. I'll put the link in the description. But my biggest fear is that there's going to be a large influx of parents into homeschooling that really don't have a good understanding of what homeschooling is, just like what happened in 2020, 2021. Whereas we were doing, school was happening, COVID started, kids got sent home to the end of the year. They were online Zooming, but really everyone was just going through the motions. The teachers were dealing with technology they had to deal with before. The next year, some teachers were teaching a half classroom full of kids and kids online, and kids were just falling behind, and parents decided, well, this is taking all my time and energy. My kids are miserable. I'm miserable. Let's go ahead and homeschool. And so everyone came to the homeschool message boards and said, this is nuts. Hey, homeschoolers, tell us what to do. And homeschoolers gave good advice for homeschoolers, for lifelong homeschoolers, which is if you've decided you're going to homeschool your child from, let's say, 4th, 5th grade through senior year, go ahead and take some time off. Get that schoolishness, out of their system. Get that school routine out of their system. Get that need to raise hands and ask to go to the bathroom and to only eat at certain time periods out of their system. Get that preaching to the class out of their system. De-school or unschool for a while. And oh my gosh, it sounds like a great idea when you've been stuck in routine, right? But these parents were not aware that they were going to, a lot of them knew that as soon as schools were clear again, they were going to send the kids back to school. A lot of them didn't know what they were going to do. And so they let these kids unschool or de-school for probably too long. Get stuck in routines where it was party time at home. And so when it was time to crack back into the books, the kids didn't want to crack back into the books. And so 2020, no, 1920 was when COVID started. 2021 was the year of everyone stepping out, a lot of deschooling happening. Um, 21, 22 was the year that everyone flooded into homeschool programs because parents realized that they had given their kids all this time off and their kids were happy with it and they weren't interested in being bookish or schoolish again. So that while that advice can be good, it's really got to be done in a measured way. This deschooling and unschooling. And so all the homeschool programs were visited, and it was kind of like parents were saying, "Where do I bring my child to homeschool?" And my response was, "Well, that's not how that works. Like, homeschooling is based on a relationship between the parent and the child, and the parent teaching the child and the parent taking full responsibility for the child's education. Homeschool programs are there to give your children the social outlet to offer classes that you may not be able to offer at home, offer classes where you feel insecure as a parent, and things like that. But there's still a good amount of work that needs to be done." And so that year, all of these kids flooded into homeschool programs. And homeschool programs went to debt to expand for this influx of new homeschoolers because everyone thought it was this great boom. All these new homeschoolers are showing up. We're going to work with all these new homeschoolers. But by the next year, 22, 23, most of these parents decided to send their kids back to school. Especially with, it's called a different bill in different states, but the T-Bow bill, the athletics bill, and the electives bills came through. And so parents could send kids to school for special electives and things like that because they needed to do that because so many kids had left homeschooling. So that was a way for the schools to slowly draw the kids back in. And so then that next year when same way kids sucked out of the schools and into homeschooling, the kids sucked out of homeschooling and back into the schools. Not all of them. There's still an overall growth arc. But a lot of those homeschool programs that expanded to make room for homeschoolers ended up closing because all those kids went back to traditional school. What's happening now is that all those kids who went back to traditional school, in my state, on a school-by-school basis, the principal gets to decide who they're going to take and how they're going to give credits and what grade they're going to put them in. High school is a little different. High school isn't, oh, you promoted to this grade. High school is how many accredited credits have you accumulated. So a lot of these homeschoolers went back and they had done, say, 8th, 9th, 10th grade in homeschooling. And they're going back as an 11th grader. And the principals accept them as an 11th grader. And they let them get real happy and real content. And at the end of 11th grade, they go to the parent and say, and parents have brought accreditation, proof, and the whole deal. But these principals have said, you know what, we reject that. For us to assign your children accredited credits for those classes, they have to take our final exams. Imagine doing geometry and algebra 2 at home. No, imagine doing algebra and geometry at home. And you just spent the year in algebra 2 and you've done fine in algebra 2. And then the year your principal says not only have to take all the final exams for the classes you're currently in, but you've got to go back and take the algebra final exam and the geometry final exam. Oh yeah, and physical science final exam and biology final exam. Oh, and also English 1 final exam, English 2 final exam, world geography, and American history. You have to take all those final exams so that you're a senior next year. And a lot of kids pass those exams at least because it's old material, right? So you're not going to pass it on an A level because you're going to have to go. So kids that should have been A students, kids that should have GPA in the 4s or close to it, end up with GPAs in the 2s and 3s because the final exams determine their grade for those classes. And now they're not eligible for good colleges. And that's what's happening right now. So what happens when we have this same push and pull with National Education Department being shut down? If he does in fact shut it down. I mean, he said he was going to do things before that he didn't do, or he didn't do completely because maybe someone in his administration talks some sense into him. I don't know. But it's scary. And even if that doesn't happen, there's going to be book bans and more religion in schools and things like that. And please don't get me wrong. I'm Christian. I just believe in separation of church and state. That thing it says in the Constitution and stuff. So anyway, I've blathered on for a long time today. This is not another homeschool vlog. I'm supposed to be talking more about what's going on with me. But what's going on with me right now is growth of the homeschool program that I'm running. And dealing with changes and revamping that whole thing. And so that's all I have for today. Until next time.